Well, I hope not.
We're all better off that that didn't happen.
Are we?
Yes.
I still think it would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Chris, was there any more?
Candies?
I got some here.
Oh, you
Hanging
got
out
some.
at the airport, we're gonna pour that
There you go.
upper floor
Lovely.
and
Make
furniture.
sure everybody gets some.
Yeah.
Probably never chocolate on my face.
I haven't seen.
Neither have I.
We'll put him up here
Going to be
for
going
Well, in
out
fact,
there.
now I think about it, I did.
talk there and
Where I think maybe they decided the prices came in too high and they're gonna try to do it themselves.
Okay, because I gotta get that federal funds for that thing taken care of.
Well, it's more of if we think it's a good idea to put a heater in the garage without a drain. That was the bigger point. No, that's.
This was the worst. Setting up.
Well, no, it's for the idea is to melt the snow off the snow pile out there.
I'll show you a picture.
The building that's put it in is in the quarter.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Ready?
Let's see if Riley.
All right, now being the time, 7 p.m., November 27th, for our city council meeting. What are you doing? If you all right, call to order, roll call, please. Sorry, I'm a little ahead of myself.
I started.
Andrew's got me
I'll
all
sit down
excited.
real quick.
Ready? Elwick.
Here.
Gates.
Here.
Pesenius.
Here.
Parmenter.
Here.
Stark.
Here.
Fluhop is absent, I believe. Absent for now.
Absent for now.
Recording
For
in
now,
progress.
Trying to get her on.
All right, you all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. All right, pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And there goes Riley. Here she comes. Riley is here.
Riley's there.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as written?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Tammy, second by Bethany, all those in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as written?
Second.
Motion by Bethany, second by Zach. Anybody got any questions? Comments?
One taco.
What?
One taco. Assuming it's a restaurant.
Oh, that was me. That was in Austin for lunch.
Okay,
I went to a restaurant. It is called One Taco.
I was curious myself, but
You
I
have to like it. You
pretty much
twice.
figured it out.
Yeah. It was,
So was it 2 tacos?
Yeah.
yeah, I did attend. I did go to One Taco.
Twice.
Twice, yes. It was very good.
Any other questions other than Chris's dining choices? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right, now's the time receiving and file communication petitions for remonstrances. None. Moving on to committee reports. None. All right, sliding into number 7, citizens input. Council will not take any action on public comments this meeting, but may do so at a future meeting. So please limit your presentation to 3 minutes. I would spell that. You're in control of the paint timer.
If anybody wishes to address city council, please use the little raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom application. Not seeing anybody at this time, Mr. Mayor.
All right, closing that. Again, no old business. It's good. New business. I need motion for first consideration ordinance 1092, an ordinance amending the code of ordinance of the city of Benton related to signage.
Motion.
Motion by Tammy, second by Bethany. So, 78th births, same as the first thing. We got this now. Is everybody good? I will not speak until you guys.
I read it like 5 times.
I did too, and I didn't make one comment. Anybody? Anybody?
I'm good. Get it done.
All right. Roll call, please.
Cassinius,
Yep.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Gates, Elwick,
Yes.
Fluhop,
Yes.
Is that it? Or do we gotta do that two more times?
2 more times because it's ordinance, Mr. Mayor.
At least we're on our way. All right. Now it's time to hold a public hearing on the plans and specification, proposed form of contract, estimate of cost for the construction of the wastewater treatment facility improvements of Benton, Iowa. I will now open that public hearing. Anybody wish to speak? Perfect. I shall now close that public hearing. Now, moving on to item C is now the discussion report on the wastewater treatment facility improvement bids. You're up, Emily.
Okay, do you want me to talk?
Yep.
Okay.
Introduce yourself, who you're with, where you're from.
My name is Emily Limba. I work for Veenstra and Kim in the Coralville office, and here to report on the bids for the wastewater treatment facility improvements project that bid on November 16th. We had a total of 4 bidders. The apparent low bid was Woodruff Construction with a bid of $12,606,500.
So, been doing that a while. I've never seen 4 bids at 12 plus million come in 200,000 from the highest to the lowest. So,
Yep, I would say they are all, I mean, the closeness of the bid would demonstrate that that is probably a very accurate cost of the project. We had 4, what I would say, typical bidders as far as who we see bid on these types of projects, and they're all, very close together. I agree with Bud that I don't think I've ever had a bid this close, even on much less expensive projects. So we feel like that's a very accurate reflection of the costs, as we've talked about since 2020, especially. And this project has been in the planning stages for a long time. Since 2020, especially, we've seen significant increase in costs, lead times of equipment, all of those things, and so we think that accounts for quite a bit of the cost increase in that case. This project has a 20-year minimum life. A lot of the improvements are will last most likely significantly longer than 20 years. Earthwork, concrete, all of those things will outlive that 20 years payment period if you take out a loan and pay that back.
So to reiterate that our current plant has been operating since 1980.
Yes.
So for 43 years and no significant project has ever undergone repair, replace, rehab, whatever. Good maintenance, I don't know, but it's not gonna last another.
And the standards are significantly different now than they were 40 years ago too. We have some safety concerns out there as far as ventilation and access that need to be addressed to make sure that the city itself is protecting its staff and making sure that they have a safe work environment too. So this is the first phase, hopefully, to address those concerns, hopefully to help prevent some of the bypassing that was occurring. you'll be able to treat more of that at the wastewater facility. And also to handle the solids more effectively. And that's to address some potential issues we're having right now, or I shouldn't say potential, some issues right now we're having with copper, we're hoping to address with this. We're also hoping to address those flow issues, and this is the first part of moving towards addressing the nutrient strategy that the city needs to meet going forward as a major facility in Iowa.
This would include a press as well, correct?
Yes, I could. Do you want the details of
Oh,
in it? Or?
I don't need that.
It's pumping, screening,
Does
grid.
Woodruff wanna know what's in it?
I think they're aware. Equalization, so flow equalization. And then on the back end of the plant, what we call the back end is solids handling. So it has a press to basically take the water out of the solids that come out of the plant, and a storage area so that we can now apply dry solids instead of having to do a liquid application like Craig's doing right now.
Here are the specs for it.
Yeah, if you want some light reading.
And these are the
Hundreds
plans.
of
You gotta narrow it down to one volume for once?
Yeah. It's a thick one though.
Plans
Only
and
and slightly
specs.
less than 100 pages on the plan, so. But as Bud has said, 40 years. I think that may be the longest, again, with one of my clients that I've ever seen without going through some kind of improvement. So you certainly got a lot of life out of that plant. I'd love to say that we could say 40 more years again, but that's probably not likely. As we talked about before, that plant was designed, actually probably over-designed for the community that you have now. So that's probably why you got so much out of that plant. A lot of the improvements that are due to either age, changing regulations, the copper, the nutrients that I mentioned, those are actually changed regulation. So we all know about nitrogen and phosphorus and the concerns with the algae and the blooms and all of that. We're contributing to that. This is kind of Mitten's first step in trying to end some of that, or at least curtail some of that. Whether we want to participate or not, DNR is saying we will, so I guess we will.
So just in full transparency, as we move, I'm assuming, toward this project, our rates are going to increase dramatically, so make no mistake that it's coming. But our sewer rates have not been increased since 2007. So 16 years of no sewer rates increase. You don't have anything that's 16 years old that's not gone up in price significantly. And had we been more proactive in moderating those rates, this wouldn't be such a big increase. But unfortunately, this council and myself have to rip the Band-Aid off to get caught back up and make sure we have the functioning system for the community, for lack of a better word. So, anybody else want to talk about that? Woodruff, this would be the time you come up, hey, we found out a whole bunch of value engineering for you. I'm not getting a lot of, so. I can't even vote on it. It's not a vote item.
No.
No, we didn't write it down as a vote because we wanted to report. We knew that you were just getting the financials on the rates and that kind of stuff. We didn't want to put a bunch of pressure on you, I guess, at this point. We wanted to see kind of how you felt about it before we moved forward, since we had just did that recently. And it is a lot to digest. The rate increases a lot. I think we didn't know if you would want more information about that as well. I think that a lot of communities have faced this and will continue to face this. You're not alone in this. And I think all councils were trying to do what they thought was right by holding rates low when they could to help the citizens. And I don't fault councils for not, as Bud stated, being a little more proactive. I don't fault them for that, but I do think going forward, most communities will need to be considering improvements at a routine interval. And we recognize that that is a big burden for your citizens, but we just wanted to give you a chance to think about that before you, in case you wanted to give us any direction or needed more information to make your decision before we put it out there and made you decide, you know, a half hour after you get the rate information. So, you know, I can definitely come back at the next meeting if we want to look at awarding and moving forward. The bids were good for 60 days, so, but if it looks like that's I know we're not voting, but if that looks like the way that we're moving, there will be some things that I will start working with Woodruff on to get in order. Due to the financing, there are certain documents that need to be submitted and that kind of stuff. So we can still be proceeding.
And SRF has no issues with us increasing our loan amount from what the original estimate was up to.
No, they won't have issue with that.
There'll just be some additional paperwork that we'll have to do.
That's it.
But we, you know, as Tiana mentioned too earlier, prior to the meeting, if you wanted to look at longer funding or something like that, that's something we could work with them on too. There is more paperwork involved with that as well. So,
It may not hurt just to have that option, just to see what it looks like.
yeah, and the SRF program has been making some changes recently with their interest rates and their structure, so I want to confirm. I know how they used to operate. If you could demonstrate the life of your plant, like we talked about, earthwork, concrete, that kind of stuff, you can demonstrate that that has a longer than the 20-year value, and you can demonstrate that, and a need, they will sometimes allow you to keep that same interest rate. I can't speak to whether that's something that they revamped. I don't know. They've been making some adjustments to the program recently due to economic issues on their end as well. I know getting additional funding has never been an issue in the past. But sometimes they used to allow a 30-year loan and charge a little bit more for it. If you could demonstrate that you met certain criteria, you could actually do that longer loan at the same interest rate. If that's something you guys want me to look into, I could.
What about when your population drops below 5,000?
A lot of communities have a population below 5,000, so that's no special,
Not from
no
SRF.
special treatment for that.
Not
so.
for SRF, it's not.
Yeah, but I think it's a project that needs to be done, and I think you've been very fortunate that you haven't had to do one until now.
Yeah,
So.
we're fortunate we're not under a consent order.
Yeah.
As well.
And we don't want to get
We
there
don't want to
either.
get there.
Yeah. Then you lose a lot of choices, and you have to comply, and it is a less favorable position to be in for sure, and not less expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want me to look at that 30-year option, I can look into it on our end, and maybe Chris can have Tiana look at it from their end as far as what that does to rates.
You know, we'll get all that onto the agenda for the next meeting to either award or not to award. We have to put her on a vote, so.
We'll try to
We'll
get
get everybody's temperature then, so.
Yeah, but we just wanted it. We didn't want to come in and say, you know, we're recommending award because we didn't know it came in over what the estimate was, and we didn't want to have you guys feel like we were putting a lot of pressure on you to do that. So
I haven't seen one yet that's come in under estimate.
That's what I was wondering was we can't get any sort of examples of how this is pretty much standard.
It's what's been happening. I don't know what you guys have been saying, but that's what I've been seeing.
if you want examples, they're probably the best sources of, you know, it's not just this engineering company, it's not just this project, it's.
I mean, we're stuck. I mean, we have to do something before we're in a little bit of trouble.
And as we
But,
talked about, if under Iowa law, if you were to change anything more than 20%, you rebid. And if you rebid, we talked about earlier, if you rebid, it's at the, it'll be after the January adjustments for pricing for all the equipment.
How long do your suppliers give you?
They all vary. Any of them will hold anything, right? And it's risk that the general contractor's taking right now, 30 days, 60 days.
Yeah, most of them
That's what I've
won't
been
hold
seeing
pricing.
too,
Yeah, I would say most equipment suppliers won't hold pricing. They used to give you 30 days, but a lot of them won't even do
Well,
that.
they used to give you the 60, but
Yeah.
won't even do that anymore.
So I'm sure they would appreciate any sooner you can, you can make a decision. They would love that, but it's up to you. They're obligated to wait that 60 days. Certainly, if we know that that's what we want to do, we don't need to drag that out at all. But we do that because there's quite a bit of paperwork on the SRF side. We will have to have we can award, but it'll still be pending DNR concurrence. They have to go through the documents, all the federal funding hoops, and so that'll draw that out a little bit, and that's why we have.
Did you find out about the permit yet?
I have not. I know they have it. I mean, I know they have received everything and it's filed, but where we are in the queue, I have not. They haven't disclosed that.
That'd be a good thing to know.
I can push again. I know everything's in place as far as environmental review, all that stuff is completed, so those are usually the bigger hangups. I don't know if I've ever had DNR come back with anything significant, but it would prevent them from breaking ground. You can't break ground without a construction permit, so.
Right, you gotta have that.
We are kind of in the time of year, I'm guessing they're not gonna break ground in January, or maybe they
I don't think you're gonna have any parts by January.
and start moving dirt, I guess, in the frozen ground. But yeah, so we're kind of in a little bit of a period, but I'm sure they would like to firm up their contracts and all of that. So the sooner we have clearance to proceed, the better we are on that end. And I will check into that again, but I know we asked about that at one point, but we didn't get a response.
So for the next council meeting, have Tiana get some rates, estimated rates, what they're gonna increase, or they can have them one last time. And so you can show them to people. You got a kind of rough idea. But when we say significant, it's significant. So it's gonna take a little bit of budgeting on some people's ends to make it work. So, but hopefully on that path, we'll be able to keep doing other little projects in the future. And aren't gonna be behind the eight ball quite so far. So, anyhow, you guys got any questions for Emily? Any for Woodruff, other than the value engineering they're gonna come back with?
Fire away.
Lot of earthwork.
You're always welcome to come out to the plant.
Yeah, take a look.
So.
I've been out there, it's
See
not
what's
great.
out there. I think there has been a few council members that's been out there.
Oh, one thing I didn't mention too in this project, I know we're wrapping up here, it looks like, but we are doing, as part of this, a significant generator improvement project, so we will have much better backup power than what the city has now for that. And also the controls, are operating on some pretty old, technology's changed a little bit on the electrical side in the last 40 some years, so this will allow the city better to monitor everything, and then on top of it have that backup power that is critical. I know they have a generator now, but it is not big enough and doesn't run long without being refilled, and yeah, so that is also another critical part to that project.
You gotta have redundancy, and you gotta have backup station.
Should we do
power.
natural gas?
I think it's too big for natural gas. It's a 600 kW, that usually prices them out. Usually starts to become less cost effective at that level. So.
What are you burning up out there, Craig?
Burn it up. That's just a lot of stuff running. 24/7.
got some big pumps. They're gonna, I mean, the plant will be able to do 10 million gallons a day with those big pumps and blowers and all that, so.
I may have to get a tutor to show me how to run the controls.
I was thinking more along the lines, now you'd be able to run more efficient, I can have you go do other things in town.
I am on that side of town too, so.
Yeah. Well, does anybody else want to talk about that?
No. Nobody wants to talk about it.
No, most people.
I will say also, any community that, when they, it's hard for every community to move forward with this, but when they do, they make the adjustment, it's a rough adjustment, but they don't regret doing that, and they look and are glad that they did it when they did, because it's never improved the environment to bid the project. The best time to bid the project is always right now. A year from now, 2 years from now, it's always worse. I mean, the costs always go up. So I just talked to the community now that bid in March of 2020, and I was like, boy, you were lucky you bid then. And I remember they were very upset at the time about how much it was costing them, but they're like, yeah, when we talk to communities now, they're like, oh, you guys are so lucky you bid it when you did. Like, so that's kind of, I think, the key message. If you can make the adjustment, it is painful, but long term, it sets your community up where it needs to be, and moving forward is usually a good decision.
Most people, when it goes, it goes. They don't think about everything else that goes along with it. So.
Alrighty, well, we'll get it on the agenda for the next meeting then, and gentlemen, it'll be on our next meeting agenda. Do you guys have any questions for us? Are you good?
No, just wanted to hear the discussion and see where things were going, so.
Well, you heard.
Didn't hear much, but you heard something.
All right,
It's not as fast.
end of discussion. Moving on to item D. Now need a motion approval of the 2080 agreement for the School Resource Officer Program between the VSCSD and the City of Benton.
Second.
Oh.
Motion by Tammy, second by. That's just what I said. Motion by Bethany, second by Tammy.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Anybody got questions on that? Is this just for a year, Chief, or?
No, this should be, 3 years?
Says 2028.
I'm sorry, 5 years. Just a change in the name of the, alternative school to Northport from West School. Northport is,
Across the street from here.
north side of the, Kirkwood campus. That's where the alternative school is now. So that wording was changed. Obviously, the 2080 agreements, time period has changed. And also the percentage has changed that the school will be paying 75% of the wage benefits of that position. The city would be, covering the 25%. Those are the only changes on that. There was just, I know it's, we're obviously into this 2023 year, but obviously it's dropped on both parts of the school year and the police department, so I'm trying to get everything in line again.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions on that?
I would add the school district is approving this tonight at their meeting, so. Should be good to go.
Alrighty. Roll call, please.
Elwick,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Fluhab,
Yes.
Basinius,
Yep.
Gates,
Yes.
Stark.
Alright. Now moving on to item E. Need a motion for the approval of the annual tax increment financing report.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Andrew, seconded by Zach. Chris?
This is our annual TIF report. Needs to be done and filed with the county auditor before December 1, and that is for the next fiscal year's incoming TIF revenue. which would be for Anderson Creek, so.
Anybody got any questions? All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, now I need to receive a request for the alley vacation on West Sixth Street. So we did receive that request, we need to send it to
Planning and zoning, Mr. Mayor.
planning and zoning, can you get that to them, we get that thing up and vacated?
That's the recommendation, to send it to P and Z. Okay.
Yeah, I recommend sending it to P and Z.
Okay.
There we go.
That's a motion.
Second.
It's not really a motion, it's just a receive request, so the intention is to get it to P and Z.
Okay.
All right, reports, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council. Going to be starting budget soon. And also, I'm going to start, application for the CDBG, disaster recovery grant for housing, $1.3 million. If council agrees with that, I'll go ahead and do that and start the application with the Iowa Grants people and, Department of Economic Development online. And move forward with that, so I'll go ahead and get some more houses built in town. Boy, that's it right now. Just gonna keep it brief.
Any questions for Chris?
Did we get Nate get a hold of Myron?
Yes, I believe he did get a hold of Myron, or at least was attempting to get a hold of him. I got a copy of the email from Melissa on that, so he is working in progress with Myron on that.
Did they get it open?
Yeah, it's open.
So I was over there this weekend,
Oh,
wasn't it?
but Nate is, I think that's Nate. Let me check. Nate?
Good evening, everybody.
Oh, he's here.
Nate.
So Nate, go ahead.
Ron, I did not get in touch with Myron. I
Oh,
got
right.
the message late last week,
Yeah.
and I was off a few extra days. I have not actually talked to Myron personally. We did look at that. The culverts were not disturbed at all. Looked like there was just some debris at the bottom, and Rachi was going to get that cleaned out. And I did not get a report back from my inspector on that yet to see if that was complete.
Okay,
But that's the report back on that. Culverts were not actually disturbed at all, just looked like some trash.
Okay, I just want to make sure that Myron's okay with that out there.
Sure. And I will follow up, but I wanted to make sure that we got things cleaned up before I give him a call as well. So
Okay,
I will
That's fine.
make a note to follow up on that tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
So I have a question on that, Nate, since we're not accepting the project, right?
Correct.
So we're gonna go out there with snow plows and they're gonna say we damaged up their pavement, even though we didn't accept the project, so who's actually responsible for the snow removal on that street?
So that is, Rachi's well aware. That's one of the reasons they were in favor of waiting until next spring as well. They are very well aware that if anything cracks out there, that it's their baby. As far as any scratches or dings on the curb, anything like that, if it's obviously snowplow damage, my thought is that the city would accept that. But if it's cracked pavement from over the winter, then we would not. So it's actually a benefit to the city from that perspective.
Yeah, but my issue is they're gonna say, well, it's because your snow plows ran over the street all winter long. Because the county's
It's an
been running
industrial
pretty
street
hard.
with dowels and L-bars and everything. If it cracks, it'd be hard to blame it on the snow plows, in my opinion.
No, I don't disagree. I just don't wanna have that argument in the spring.
I don't know if a conversation this, at this point in time, would change that or not, to be honest. We can certainly have it. I'll follow up with them. We've got a lot of things that we need to button up on that project yet. We're gonna have a sit-down meeting with Rachi. That's definitely one of the agenda items, though.
I can't remember how the DOT feels about that. This is the project, because it's technically still theirs until we accept it.
Well, on Third Street, we had some cracks, and at the time, Ken Ellis was very explicit and said that you haven't accepted it. You need to require replacement if it was his pavement. So that was the lead that we followed in the past, and as far as I know, that precedence has not changed.
Perfect. That was my question.
So Nate, this is Andrew. The intakes, they are at this point complete, or what is completion on that?
They're as complete as they will be through the winter. The ones west of R, and I think there may be one east of R on the north side, those throats will get replaced. The other intakes, I believe, are all complete for the winter at least. As far as the erosion control, there will need to be some intake protection that's completed. We've talked about that. They said they have some interior bags that Concepts, who is their erosion control subcontractor, has that fit in the open throats that the snow plows would not disturb. The other plan would be to only mulch. We're clearly outside the seeding windows, even a dormant seeding, which is you just spread the seed and wait for it to germinate in the spring. At this point in time, we would recommend just mulch everything for the winter to get it stabilized, and that's all we would do. If there's something else with the intakes you want me to take a peek at or follow up on, I sure can. But otherwise, the intakes are finished for this winter.
Just want to make sure there's no safety hazards for anybody. That's the biggest thing.
That's the biggest thing by far.
Yep. Correct. And I did have an explicit conversation with Dan and Rachi about that the straw mat rolls or wattles laid across the open throats would not be acceptable. Otherwise, they would have to come back before this. I guess we've had our first snow. Whether or not you guys plowed or not, I don't know. But they would be obligated to do that. That's why they opted to go. Or they were going to talk to Soil Concepts about getting the interior bags in so the snowplows would not disturb them, and there would not be anything in the gutters that would freeze to the pavement and potentially be an obstacle for vehicles.
And when you have your sit down, I know one of the items we wanted was when are they going to commit to come back in the spring? We haven't heard anything that yet.
Rachi indicated their intent would be to come back first thing in the spring. We've not had a formal conversation with Citywide about that, but based on comments that Mark has made, their intent is to come back here first thing in the spring as well. Mark was asking specifically because that's going to impact what he bids this winter. So I know his idea was to get back here right away, first thing, and get it completed.
Yeah, which is exactly my point. Before Bertelli goes out there and bids a bunch of work that he can't get back to ours in the spring. So.
Right.
Chief?
Hey Nate, this is Chief Paxton. Is there any consideration on temporary speed limit signs on First?
There's actually still a number of things that we're expecting them to get buttoned up yet this fall, the next few weeks. It's just the pavement part is basically done, but that doesn't mean they're done. I think with this cold weather, they're kind of limited on what they could do at this point in time. But getting signs back up, at least some temporary ones. There were only a few that would be impacted next spring, so if those are temporary signs, that's fine. But the other permanent signs we'd like to see get put up yet this fall.
Ground's going to be pretty hard by the end of next week.
Yeah, I was just more concerned about speed limit signs, I guess, more than anything.
Sure. But there's a number of signs that should be put back up, at least in my opinion. And again, Rachi intended to get everything done that they possibly could. And it's really just the seating that would be holding them up. But yeah, temporary signs would be the big thing. on that west end. So no, that's something we're expecting them yet to do.
When's the next time you expect to actually lay your eyes on that road? Because I wouldn't mind looking at that with you. I'm hoping to be in town later this week for some meetings. I need to get those actually scheduled, and then I can get in touch with Chris or directly with you and let you know when that would work for me. Yeah, I'm available, so you just whatever your schedule ends up being, just let me know.
Okay. Can do.
I'd appreciate it.
You bet.
Anything else for Nate? Thanks, Nate.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening. Well, Craig, for lack of better judgment, what do you got?
Looks like they got the antennas put on the water tower. I'm not sure how far they are with the cables. I haven't heard anything if they're done or not. So once they get that done, we'll get our antenna back up there, our tantless antenna. Still working on lead service line inventory. Kind of running out of things to cold weather to do digging, so they got the baffles put in both of the clarifiers, so we'll see how that impacts the solids leaving the plant. So in 6th Street we got it, the rails all replaced in it and some pipe, and Mark helped out with that. We had a piece we was trying to get the pipe out and snapped it in half, so his guy rushed it and got us 2 new sets just in case the other one broke right away, so that was very much appreciative. So we got that up and running, but other than that, we're done hauling sludge and trying to batten down a few things that we haven't got quite done yet. So other than that, we're holding our own. So.
Okay. Any questions for Craig? Chief?
Got one officer that'll be again graduating the academy on the 15th of December. So it'll be nice to have him back. We'll probably post on our Facebook for snow removal. Make sure we're in our snow season. Make sure our vehicles are parked off the streets during snow removal. I'd say for our sidewalks, make sure that there are snow and ice accumulations are shoveled off the sidewalks. For snow removal, like parking lots and stuff, big favor for the street department is not to pile your snow from the parking lots on the streets. That's all I have.
Good. Melissa?
The only thing I have leads into good and welfare a little bit. Faith Ann Brown stopped in before our work session started, and she misses everybody and wants to say hello. So
That's nice.
that was nice. It's good to see her.
How's she doing?
She's doing okay.
Good. Good. Anything else?
No.
Good. So again, yeah, I'm gonna say it again. Be prepared for significant rate increases, and we'll try and be as transparent and open what those are. But by all means, they're coming. For catch up, for new product, it's all gonna happen. So that's all I got. Good and welfare. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving weekend. I put on a few pounds. So. And FYI, I won't be here at the next council meeting. I'll be in Florida. So good luck. If you want, I can zoom in or something. I'm quite sure you guys can handle it. So.
What's the record?
Yes.
Oh, you got a big thing going to be on your agenda next week. These 2 gentlemen back there are going to have more help with them.
I guess guess you'll be compelled to come to the meeting.
I can't compel myself.
No.
All right, anybody got any questions? I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor?
I-
We are adjourned.